For those who have never considered homeschooling before and are thinking about it as a possibility, it can seem very overwhelming, right? So what I want to do is give you some information that might be able to help you make a decision, okay? I homeschooled until my oldest was in 4th grade, and then my kids went to public school for a year. And now I am going back to homeschooling. Okay, so I've done homeschooling for longer than public school, but I've had both experiences. And so after the remote learning that happened at the end of the year, seeing what that was like for my kids, seeing how difficult it was to get them to sit in front of a screen and watch their teacher talk and have an online class in that way, and doing all this packet work, which was kind of like busy work, I know that the fall will be a little different. They'll be more prepared, and so I understand that. But for me, I am always looking at other possibilities of what is the best thing for me and my family and my kids, and I'm sure you are trying to do that as well. So if you are in a place where you're considering, okay, maybe I don't want to do remote learning with the public school this fall, let me see what else is out there. Here's some options, okay? So why is it confusing and overwhelming and feels stressful for people who have never considered homeschool or don't know anything about it? Because most of us have this idea of what education has to look like, right? And so we have to get out of the idea, challenge this assumption that education must look a certain way to be effective. What is the whole point? The whole point is we want our kids to learn, right? Okay, so you want your kids to learn. So does it matter how they feel when they're learning to you? Do you want them to be afraid, scared, angry, sad, depressed? You probably care about your kids' emotional well-being, right? And so from my experience and from all the research I've done and just being a person in the world, I personally find that I learn better when I'm emotionally feeling safe and secure, and when my brain is interested and I'm engaged, okay? So it's really hard for me to sit down and have a teacher tell me, this is what you're gonna learn today. But if I am curious about something, if I'm researching something, like I'm sure you all have had this experience, you are so interested, you're just absorbing all that information because you're engaged in it, you're interested, you're feeling good, right? So the first step if you're thinking about homeschooling, the first step is asking yourself, what do I want for my kids? What is the most important thing? And then it's, how do I get there? And then starting to look at things differently and just challenge these beliefs of how they're supposed to get there, how they're supposed to get to being educated, how they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to learn the proper way, the exact information they're supposed to learn at each minute of every day. This whole conveyor belt model of you put the child here and they learn in the system and then everything's okay. So starting to challenge that, and then starting to ask yourself, what's most important to me, right? What do I want? Well, I want my kids to feel good. I want us to have a close connection. I want them to feel safe and secure in their home. Because as we know, kids' mental health and emotional health is dependent on how they feel with their primary caregivers. So as a life coach, I see that every day. I see that when I coach people. As I was a counselor years ago, I got my master's in counseling, and then now I'm a life coach. And our relationships with our primary caregivers, our parents, affected how our brains developed, affected the patterns that we internalized that we're now living out, right? And they affect children in their ability to learn, right? So if you're going to homeschool and you are going to be really stressed out and not be able to really connect with your kids, then it's probably not a good idea. But here's the thing. You may think you're going to be stressed out because you don't know how to make homeschooling work for you. And so I want to kind of open your perspective to, how could homeschooling work for me? What are some other options? What are the possibilities out there? Okay. What I do in coaching is I help people to create a life that they love. So the same thing with homeschooling. Let's create something that works for you, right? So homeschooling doesn't mean that you have to be with your kid 24/7, engaged in their life, in their learning, teaching them 24/7, okay? When you think about what public school is, and you think about that model, even though we don't need to compare, but we will, just for the sake of doing this right now, it ends around 2, right? 2:30. So the school day does. And they're not learning every second of that time either, right? And so if you're homeschooling, you could do, just for example, just to throw this out, maybe 8 to 10 in the morning, you do like 2 hours of some online learning curriculum that is like a full curriculum for each grade level, whatever your kids are in. It's a subscription that you pay for, not very expensive, and it's engaging and it's fun and they track their progress. Something kind of like timeforlearning.com, okay? And then you take a break, take a snack break at 10 o'clock. And then you get together with a homeschool group, a group of kids, a group of families that you've decided you want to connect with during this time. Every day you're going to have them come over in the backyard. Maybe you have a really good space, or someone does in the group. These are people who you feel comfortable with that aren't going out in public a lot. They're socially isolating, and you feel comfortable to be around them during this time, okay? So you find a group of people. Then your kids have recess. They can play. They can have fun in the backyard, someone's backyard. And then you can have lunch. You can have a parent leads some activities. You could do mindfulness activities, teaching kids mindfulness skills. There's tons of resources online and like fun little cards that we have where you pull out activities and they, walk around like an animal, or, just really fun things to engage them. They're fun. Keyword fun here. It's not boring. It's not sitting down and telling them to do something. But they're learning. You can do, these are just ideas of things you can do with a group, like a homeschooling group. You could do like fun math games, depending on their age. You could do like, okay, what's 2 plus 3? Everyone, you have to jump up the number of times of the answer. So they all like think in their minds, 2 plus 3. Okay, jump up 5 times. You could, just be creative. And if that's not really your thing, you could look up games. There are so many resources, right? Online, learning games, homeschool games. You could do a science experiment, simple science experiment. All you have to do, the only effort it takes is Googling. Guys, it is so easy these days. You just have to Google. You could just do like an hour of planned, like parent-led games, okay? And then it's about 2 o'clock. So 8 to 10, every kid does an online learning program that's more engaging than, for example, sitting and being taught by a teacher, which you can choose what you're gonna do if you wanna do it that way, and that's totally fine. But if you're looking at different ways, looking at, an online program that's just a little bit more fun and engaging for them, and it's not gonna be like hard to get them to sit in front of the computer, where it's something that they'll be more excited about. ABC Mouse is good, Brain Pop is really good. And then having a break, having friends to play in the backyard, and then having a parent-led activities, and then, oh, it's 2 o'clock, so it's the end of the day, school day. So you don't have to be constantly teaching them all these things every day. They're going to learn so much. They're going to learn so much through online learning programs. They're going to learn through interactions with friends that you can get together, a group. And then after that, they can have an hour or two of quiet reading time. Reading time is like a foundational part of our day. And so it's really fun. It's like a really good bonding experience for me to have all my kids come on my bed and we read a story. We're reading like chapter books. Or everyone goes in their own room and they have quiet time to read on their own if they're old enough. And then you can do a book together. This is all learning, and it's not sitting in a classroom, and it's not sitting in front of a computer screen. The teacher isn't reading to them, but you are. Or they're reading on their own. Or you have a teenager or a sitter that you hire from the neighborhood to come over and spend a few hours while you work. And she does reading time with them, and then some fun educational games, and then playing and interacting and make-believe and dress up and creating forts and using their imaginations to do things and doing art projects and letting the sitter bring whatever she does, her strengths. And so, then you can do that until dinner, and then you have dinner. And then after dinner, family time, family story, family movie, family games, dance party, family time. So this is just an example of how homeschooling doesn't have to be hard and how it's possible to do if you work from home. You don't have to be with them every second of the day. They can have an online learning period. They can have a time when they go to a neighborhood house and do their homeschool group, or your house if you want to be in charge of that, if you have the time. They have time after that to quiet reading time where they can do that. It's like, this is your quiet reading time. And then, oh yeah, after that, quiet reading time can be their fun screen time before dinner, as you're making dinner or as someone's making dinner. And so all of these little chunks of time, it's like it's a program, it's a schedule for them so that they can have these things to do. It's not just them bugging you when you're trying to work. And they know what to expect. Kids like predictability. That's important for their mental health. So if they see the schedule and they see that it's broken up, just like school is with, recess and lunch and then classroom time, you can break up your day in a way that works for you and for your kids, and give yourself the time to work. So when they're having their needs met, their social needs met, their connection with you, and physical is really important. They need to be active to calm their nervous systems, or else they're just gonna feel anxious. And that is going to project onto you as a parent. Once you're meeting their needs, once you're figuring out a way for life to work for them and for you, everything is gonna be so much better. It's gonna be less stressful. And so this fall, the goal is we want to create a life and a schedule that works for you and for your kids. And it's possible. And the problem is a lot of parents don't know how that looks because they're in a mindset of there's only one way for kids to be educated, and they freak out if that way is not available to them, going to school. And then the remote learning is causing additional problems with, well, what if parents need to work from home, for example, or away, and they can't be with their kids, right? And so it's just causing a lot of stress for parents. But I'm here to say that it doesn't have to be stressful if you open up to new possibilities and you question your previous assumptions of what education has to look like. So these are just some ideas about ways that you can arrange your life so that it's less stressful for everyone, it's more enjoyable, where you're connecting, you're making a point to connect with your kids. You have certain time when you're always connecting with them, and I recommend a time when they all like get on your bed and you read a story and just cuddle with them. Physical touch, is so important. So those are just some of my ideas on just going through this time. It can feel stressful, but it doesn't have to be if we can look at things differently and create a plan that works for our own families and our own needs. I'm available if anyone wants to do a session. I help people to create a life that is more in alignment with what they want, to reduce their stress, to create a family that is more healthier, closer, and that where you're feeling good, and especially people that have health conditions, this all helps their health to improve. So this is really powerful. We don't want more and more people to get autoimmune illnesses from all the stress during this time. And so I really want to be a resource to all of you to help you look at how you can create a life that works for you this fall. And so let me know if you need some support with that. I am here. I can help you find a plan that works for you to create a homeschool, or even, if you choose public school, whatever you choose, to help you look at the options, to look at different possibilities of ways to make this work for you. Okay? It's possible. And I shared some ideas on this video, so hopefully this is helpful. Life doesn't have to be hard just because we're going through this, okay? We can find ways to get through it in a way that just makes us feel more peaceful, calm, and connected to our kids. That's what they need right now. Our kids need us. And the more that we can just look at our stress, own everything that's going on with us, not project it onto our kids, and take care of ourselves and look at how can I create a life that I love? How can I create a life that's not so stressful? That will really help your kids, because they really need you. They need you. They don't need the stressed out version of you. They want to connect with you, right? And there's a way that we can do that. There's a way that we can connect more with our kids. And so I really encourage anyone who's interested in creating a less stressful life this fall and trying to figure out what their options are, to contact me, and we can do a session. And we can do, I do packages as well. So whatever is the best option for you, we can look at. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.